Hello and welcome back to a podcast about something. You can now find us on SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes. Take a look. Today, this is episode 3. We're going to be talking about, this is going to be a podcast about television. We're going to go ups and downs of some of our favorite things from the world of TV and kind of what we look forward to in shows that we watch. So let's get it started.
Yeah, very exciting news. I'm liking that I can actually use the podcast app on my iPhone and actually find us, and it's pretty accessible because all my friends except for Cal here have iPhones, so I can just say, "Hey,
and I'm the correct one."
So yeah, we're gonna try to convince you into some shows. We're gonna try to convince each other into some shows. Try to sell some ideas to one another about why we like certain things, and also we had a few different ideas about how some networks are running in today's day and age, and maybe why they don't need big long seasons.
Yeah, how we prefer to consume our content. So let's jump right into it. We're gonna go a subjective take on what the best show on TV is, both from a sitcom and drama perspective, or comedy, not necessarily sitcom, but. Eric, you wanna go first with your favorite sitcom, your best sitcom on TV?
My best sitcom, if I had to pick one, is going to be Modern Family. I think it's really hard to knock them off of the throne, and obviously they're well acclaimed. And
I'm out on Modern Family. I know you are. I've never watched an episode.
I really like it. It's very, I don't know, it's just funny. It's clever. It's smartly written. The characters actually show development, over the course of a season or the whole show, and while there are different storylines, there's still a continuity to it, and you do find yourself getting to know these characters. It's not like they're just the same thing coming back for the same episode, or there's the same issues all the time, So while one episode gets wrapped up, there's still some continuation with something that's going on in bigger background.
You can kind of jump in and out as you please without having to know the whole story. I like shows like that. Mm-hmm. It's a lot easier to consume than if it's season 3 and you haven't seen the first 2 seasons, there's no chance I'm jumping in right there. But if I can jump in and watch and not have missed a beat,
you could turn it on.
That's a plus.
Syndicated TV right now and probably catch a good 2-hour block of it on TNT or something. So what about you?
My favorite sitcom on TV right now is Fresh Off the Boat.
I've never watched it.
It is fantastic. And if you watch it, it's going to remind you of our good friend JP. They've got, so it's this, Chinese family who moved from Washington DC to Orlando, Florida. That hits close to home for us here in South Florida. And, they're just trying to get along going from this big city where there was so much culture to Orlando where there is
Disney.
Not culture.
Well, it's very blended.
Yeah, well,
there's no.
Where they moved into a cul-de-sac. It takes place in the 90s.
Okay.
They moved on to a cul-de-sac.
So it's not like a current. It's not shot in current times.
No, it takes place in the 90s.
I did not know that about the show.
The main character who it's based on, he's actually a chef now. Apparently a famous chef, Eddie Wong. I don't know because I couldn't care less about famous food. Like, give me a burger, I'm good.
I only know who Bobby Flay is because of Entourage.
It's true. Ari would have kicked his ass, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
But so it's based on his life as a child growing up in Orlando, with a father who owns a restaurant, the Longhorn Steakhouse type restaurant there. And so he's 13 when the show starts, and he likes rap music, and he wears Wu-Tang clothes a lot, and he's very involved in the rap life. In his head.
Oh, okay. So
it's very funny. He's got 2 little brothers who are also very funny in their own ways. They the middle child was named Emery because they wanted a girl, and they would have named him Emily. And they're Asian.
You put it together in your head.
Yeah, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but if you can't figure it out, then that's on you. But it's just hilarious, and I watch it through their lens of this had to be JP in the 90s, and I think it is.
Loving rap music. He tried to get me to go to a Bone Thugs concert.
He loves basketball and rap. He tried to get me to go to that same Bone Thugs concert. It's $26 to go to the ranch over there, or whatever it's called in Cape Coral.
Yeah, I took a hard pass on that one. So, what about your favorite drama?
So my favorite drama, I'm going to make a lot of waves here because I am going off the board, but you're going to go on the board, so I think it's okay. I'm going to pick Mr. Robot. Well, I'm going to split it.
Okay.
Mr. Robot is my favorite. It's very deep, and it's about this guy. He's a hacker, and he tries to take down the world. And now in season 3, he's trying to rebuild the world, apparently. But it's really good how they work the character of Mr. Robot. I'm not trying to give any spoilers of what's going on because there is a big reveal at the end of season 1 of what's going on with Mr. Robot versus the main character, and it's a psychological thriller type thing with, some hacking and IT background stuff. And so
Is it tough to understand?
Not really.
No.
A little bit. It'll, they go deep on some things, but not to a point where it's like, okay, I don't get the general idea of what they're doing. Like, they use technical terms to say basically these people's computers aren't going to work.
Oh, okay.
You figure by the time they're done what they're doing, you figured out what they're doing.
You're not wondering what the heck that meant.
My other show is it's called Legion. It's on FX. It's an X-Men show. It's only been 1 season so far, but the first season was just fantastic. And I didn't know anything about the character of Legion before, and I read up on his Wikipedia about what Legion can do. He's the son of Charles Xavier, and his power is basically, I think it was, I'm sure some people who are bigger nerds than me will correct me on this, but it was something to the tune of, if he witnessed somebody die, he absorbed all their thoughts and memories, but as a split personality inside himself. So he's housing all of these different entities inside him that he can use at different times to get the things he wants. And if it was a mutant that died near him, he can access their powers.
Wow.
They didn't get too deep into that in season 1. That's more of what I read on Wikipedia, so I'm excited to see where it goes because that sounds awesome.
You see, I missed that. I got 3 episodes in and I kind of quit on it.
It was easy to quit after 3 episodes, but I powered through because there was nothing else on then.
No, I get what you're saying. You know who turned me off, and this is surprising because I actually like her, is Aubrey Plaza. Kind of turned me off.
She gets way weirder than the first 3 episodes.
Yeah, that's it. And see, it's not like I can't take her being weird. It's like, it felt like her normal typecasted character in some of these movies that she's in, where she's, she's very, careless. Like, she does not care what you're doing, about anything. And she's got the same look on her face the whole time. Like, she just does not want to be in that room. And a lot of the times that works for me, and that's funny. But I'm just like, I kind of needed a little bit more from this show to keep me hooked. And maybe if it pops up on Netflix, I'll probably end up binging it or somehow, some way. So, just not something that's really going to get me to turn on the TV on their given night. So, my drama, I'm going to shock a lot of people here, and so just say, Game of Thrones is probably the top one. I think I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that, just because of the way this past season ended.
And in terms of scope, it's the best show on TV.
Yes.
Out of what you can do with it, it is. I have problems with Game of Thrones because I became a book reader, and I don't think the story they're telling anymore is compelling. It's not even that it doesn't line up with the story that George R. R. Martin has told. I just don't find it compelling. I think it's bad, especially in season 5 and season 7. It's become bad storytelling to a point.
There was
season 7 ended well, I think, but there was a lot in the middle that it was just like, these people probably shouldn't be doing this, or why are they doing it? And it was just like, here's where we all want to end. We just want to get them there. They didn't focus on getting them there. Well,
they did reduce the number of episodes from a normal season, so they felt, and everybody's sitting here saying that, they cut it down to 7 and 6. There's only 13 over the last 2 years, and, you want to see it get to a resolution. Well, it's got to get there somehow. And they can't, they're spending, $10 million per episode on this thing? So it's just like, that's a huge amount of money. That's a huge amount of money. I'm just saying that they got to get you there somehow. So you want your Game of Thrones, you want all your content. It's just not financially feasible for the network to continue to pump out these epic episodes that everybody wants to see. So they're trying to come up with the best compromise. And I thought that they did a good job of it. And I think next season, or the 2019 season, now that it's come out, that they're not going to be airing
probably do a full deep dive before that comes. We'll go
down the road, definitely. Yeah. There'll be more information out there. There'll be a lot closer to, we'll have some fan theories we can comb through and all things like that. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm mad that I got to wait so long, but I know that the final product is going to be very satisfying.
Yeah, and that's what I'm hoping for. 7 was, like I said, storytelling wise, it wasn't great, and so I'm hoping with this extra year that they're taking off, they figure out how to tell this, to finish the story correctly in a satisfying way, not necessarily the way George is going to do it, but just in a satisfying way that makes sense and it gives everyone some, closure on it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm.
And that was the good thing about seasons 1 through 4, is it felt like they took the time to tell everyone's story. It was Arya's here, but she's here because of it. And the best parts of the show were always conversations in a room between 2 or 3 people. It wasn't necessarily. I mean, the battles were great. The Watchers on the Wall was one of the best episodes.
The dialogue and the clues throughout. I mean,
they gave you so much more in between the world building and
So
then Dawn came along and they just nobody likes Dawn.
I'm not mad about it. I didn't read those books, just like I didn't read Marvel comics. I just understand that not everything is going to be adapted perfectly to a.
And I get that. I'm not a snob. I don't think that the Marvel movies should be adapted perfectly based on comics. The comics are freaking crazy.
Yeah.
I just felt like it wasn't a good story this year. So hopefully they'll get back to being a good story.
I mean,
season 5 felt like that in some areas. And other areas they told a good story, but like the Dorne plot was bad. Arya was not great, but.
Well, not to give away too much of what we're going to be talking about down the road, but this is one of those things. I was very late to Game of Thrones. I actually binge watched like the first probably 5 seasons over the course of a month. Man. And so when you do it like that, like I didn't have HBO back then. And I didn't know how to rip stuff off. So, not that I do now, disclaimer. But my point is.
There's anything wrong with that if you do.
Not that there's anything wrong with that if you do. But, no, I think I binged it all in like 3 to 4 weeks. And when I did that like that, it was very difficult keeping up with all the names and the characters. And
season
like
1
that.
and 2,
I did
it's
not
hard because there's a lot of people that
pace.
look alike.
Yeah, they do. That's exactly what they look like.
Sound alike. And
so you should hear me with one of my friends, and she loves the show, and she knows everything about the show. She watches all the YouTube fan theory videos and all that kind of stuff out there. Got me a little hooked on them, too.
Oh, yeah.
But she would laugh at me all the time about who's this guy again? What did he know? Who did he piss off? Well, so, but all the guys that are very important, obviously, are very hard to learn.
So you know the difference between Jon Snow and Robert Baratheon.
Who? Yeah, yes,
Who are those guys?
So anyway, Cal, we're going to talk about our favorite of all time. Okay, we're going to move on. We're going to transition into the favorite of all time. We've given our nods to the best ones we know are some of the best that we like to watch, admittedly. But what are the greatest of all time? And I think you and I, we're pretty much going to agree with each other on this one. So just to keep the whole thing.
Let's go on 3.
Let's go 1 on 3. All right, 1, 2, 3. Seinfeld.
It's Seinfeld. It's Seinfeld. It's Seinfeld.
I mean, some people, I've actually met people that don't like don't like Seinfeld.
And those people are just wrong in life. In every aspect of life.
I don't think there's been anything that's mixed.
In a close but distant second is The Office. And I just had an argument on Reddit of people who don't like The Office. And I said, the people who don't like The Office have just seen 3 episodes and they decided Michael was annoying. You got to sit them down and make them watch seasons 1 through 3, tie them to the bed if you have to. Mm-hmm. Because by the end of 3, when Jim walks in and asks Pam on that first date, you're hooked. You're
hooked. I mean, it's one of the, The Office, that is also another quick second. We have the same taste in a lot of things. So our drama, we're going to go ahead and
in case you haven't noticed why we like Seinfeld and we picked Seinfeld, in case you haven't noticed, the title to our podcast is a very slightly veiled reference to their show About Nothing, but we wanted to be about something.
And we're not a show, we're a podcast. So we
changed show to podcast, obviously, in case you didn't notice that part.
When it comes to Jerry Seinfeld himself, I mean, I think, the lack of activity, I guess you get, some people would turn that kind of success into, all these movies.
Did make
and all. I know that, but that was his voice. And that was, and I get that he's been in stuff, but I love Comedians in Cars, getting coffee.
Yeah, I dropped off on that, but.
I don't like every episode, don't get me wrong. I mean, I watch
you pick out the ones you like.
You can pick out the ones you like. It's funny stuff. And everything that he's poured into his show, and even, tells you what terrific writing it is. Now that Larry David's gone off and had a second legendary show of his own in Curb Your Enthusiasm. So I think it just tells you that the talent they were working with is a perfect storm that went 9 great years. That, I mean, I could turn on TBS right now and probably see an episode.
So it ended in 1997?
97.
Or in 2017. That's 30 years of...
20.
20 years! I never watched an episode while it was on TV live. I've seen every episode probably 100 times.
Yeah, but I mean,
and it's always on, because it's always on TBS.
It's always on at my dad's house, at my parents. So
it's been on TBS since I was like 15 in high school, and that, it's always there and it's always great. And if you don't like it, you're wrong. I'm sorry.
If there's nothing on, and Seinfeld's running on a TBS loop, or something like that.
You turn it on.
You turn it on. If there's nothing else on, you could just, and you'll laugh.
Oh, yeah.
You'll laugh at some of those jokes. I mean, I can't even say the same for Friends that gets a lot of play on a lot of different networks.
We just did a rewatch of Friends a couple years ago, my wife and I.
Not that I don't love it. Don't get me wrong,
it's great.
Yeah.
But you feel a lot of the jokes there are outdated. You don't really ever feel the jokes in Seinfeld are outdated, because even though they might be using outdated technology, the joke still holds up.
Yeah.
There's one where he's got a 2-line phone, and the woman that he's trying to convince that he's not gay, not that there's anything wrong with that, is on one line. He's talking to George on the other line, and she can hear him when he's talking to George. And, a 2-line phone doesn't exist anymore, but everybody can get behind somebody overhearing a conversation you're trying to have without them knowing. I mean, and that's what makes it so timeless.
We've all picked up the phone in a different room. When we had a sibling on the other line so we could get dirt on them.
Oh, yeah.
We've all done that before. So, what about your drama, buddy?
My favorite drama, and I'm going to go this is not really against the grain. It's Breaking Bad. Mm-hmm. Did you watch Breaking Bad?
I did watch Breaking Bad.
Breaking Bad,
I loved it.
Fantastic. It ended perfectly.
And probably my favorite if I had to put one up there.
Yeah.
If I had to put one up there. I'm not terribly into dramas too much.
Yeah.
I mean, I do love a good drama, don't get me wrong, but I think if I had to pick one, I'm aligned with you on this one.
The other great shows that are mentioned along with it are The Wire and Mad Men and Sopranos, and honestly, I've never watched any of those three.
I didn't either.
So I can't really speak to those, but Breaking Bad just from beginning to end was perfect. Vince Gilligan laid out his story, and he accomplished it. There was...
Speaking of Seinfeld, Dr. Whatley.
We were actually speaking of...
Dr. Tim Whatley. Whatley. Brian Cranston. Shout out to Brian Cranston for getting
also on How I Met Your Mother.
Yes, as well as
the architect.
The architect, famous one that was in charge of Ted there for a little while. So anyway, I agree with you. I think I'm a little disappointed I haven't seen more from Aaron Paul besides Need for Speed or,
How great was that movie, even though it was so terrible? You put Kid Cudi in something, I'm there.
You put Kid Cudi in something with Michael Keaton going all crazy on a microphone the whole time. I mean, the cars were cool. I can't even deny it.
I love the Need for Speed video games, and
I'm a little disappointed I haven't seen him in more stuff that I've been able to view. I know he's been.
I don't think he's very good. He's in an Amazon show right now that's supposed to be pretty good, where he's a cult leader or in a cult, something like that. Haven't checked that out.
And if you didn't know, you might know this if you do like Breaking Bad, but people actually still try to go throw pizzas.
Yes.
And they've on the original home that the Whites lived in, and they've had to block off the home because the owners of the home were getting so fed up with getting fresh pizzas off their roof.
I would eat it. Can't be that bad.
Roof pizza? Yeah. It's New Mexico. It's probably still hot.
I've probably eaten worse pizza.
Yeah. So.
Alright, so now we're going to go into, basically we're going to try and convince each other to watch shows that one of us, Eric's going to try and convince me of some shows he likes that I haven't seen, and I'm going to convince him of shows I like that he hasn't seen. And you guys might have seen them, might have not. Leave us some comments or some tweets and tell us how wrong we are about one way or the other, or why we should be watching these shows. Eric, you go first with your first show that I haven't seen.
You have not seen Brooklyn Nine-Nine, huh?
Not a lick.
Very big.
Andy Samberg got really annoying for a while, and so I just checked out on him.
You know what? I could feel that coming on a little bit, but
the movie with Adam Sandler just
these last few seasons, actually that movie's kind of funny. I don't care who you are. No, but I just think that Brooklyn Nine-Nine, especially with the ensemble cast, they've really come into their own. There's been a lot of character development. almost off to a little bit of a rocky start. Just trying to get the show off the ground.
Someone I've heard
Such a big
good in
cast.
that I haven't that I wanted to consume. She's apparently a very good comedian. Also, is Chelsea Peretti.
She's funny. She's very, very funny in that show. She's taken a bit of a reduced role in the later seasons. I know she just had a child, I believe. But so she's not in these latter episodes that have been popping up recently, but they have been doing a good job of developing the characters. It's very fun to see, and everybody kind of being just stupid silly together too, trying to solve these crimes as dumb as they possibly can make themselves be. So very enjoyable for me. What's your first one?
My first one is called Party Down. You ever heard of it?
Yes, I have. That's Adam Scott.
Adam
right?
Scott,
Yeah.
yes.
And Lizzie Kaplan for a
yes,
while? Yeah.
Lizzie Kaplan's in both seasons. Jane Lynch is in it for one season. Megan Mullally, who you might know from Will and Grace. Also Ron Swanson's wife in real life.
Yes. Those two are awesome together, by the way.
Yeah. Basically, they worked for this. It's a Starz show. It ran 2 seasons, and it got cut short basically because Adam Scott went to work on Parks and Rec.
Right.
It's just fantastic. They're all working actors or comedians or
they're servers, right?
They work for a catering company, and they go to different parties each week, and so each episode has a kind of a different spin on it because of where they are and what they're doing, and it's just hilarious. Adam Scott gets noticed because he used to be in like one beer commercial, and that was his whole thing. If you've seen it, you would know. Are we having fun yet? It's just hilarious. Rob Corddry is in an episode. J.K. Simmons is in an episode. There's so many good cameos from people. Kevin Hart's in one.
Oh,
the people at the parties are almost more interesting than the people
on the cast.
Yeah. Other than probably Adam Scott and Lizzie Kaplan. They do like a porn convention. They do like a housewives fundraiser for a local school. They do just all kinds of parties, and it was just fantastic. And I wish it would have run longer, but I also loved Adam Scott on Parks and Rec, so they've been talking about maybe a movie, but it's never really materialized. Maybe someday. Probably. Okay. What do you got next?
My next one is one that might get a little more notoriety now because of who one of the stars are, but Suits was a show that I was very excited about from the very beginning when they previewed this show.
Zach Morris.
No.
That's not the one with Zach Morris?
No, that one was Franklin and Bash.
That's the one.
Franklin and Bash. And I didn't mind that show either. I liked that show. That was fun.
So who's in Suits?
Suits has Gabriel Macht.
No idea who that is.
You didn't know a lot of these people before. You might have known Gina Torres, but I love Sarah Rafferty in this show. She's outstanding. But Meghan Markle.
Those people are.
Is it Prince Harry's fiance?
One of those royalty people over
she's
there.
getting married. She's going to be a literal princess. So I can see her maybe cutting her acting career short, to be actual royalty.
Yeah.
So that show, it's you can feel the show spinning down to an end.
And they're lawyers, right? No,
they're lawyers. It's a law drama.
Lawyers.
Yes. So this is one of the few dramas I actually tune in every week to see. All the actors are very talented in the show, and you know what? For a law drama, it doesn't get as repetitive as you might think. Sometimes they delve into the storyline. What it's really about...
They've had Law and Order on for 30 years, and people still watch that. So.
What it's really about is a young man... bad math, apparently. A young man who's got a photographic memory. He's a genius. Stumbles into an interview for a high-end law firm that only hires out of Harvard. And he steps in, and the other hotshot lawyer, the older gentleman... hires him thinking that he's kind of invincible. I can turn this kid into something. I can hide this kid because he's amazing. Even though he didn't go to Harvard, I can still use him to help me win high-profile cases. He's a genius. He sees the benefit of having him, but he never went to Harvard. He got kicked out of school and doesn't have a college diploma. So that's always hanging over his head for the longest time. Is somebody
he's
to
just
find
lying
out.
About it his whole
He's
time?
Lying about it. Everybody in the office that knows about it has been lying about it. Kind of season by season, more people end up finding out and finding different ways to leverage the kid.
It's just going to be like Breaking Bad in the end, and some Nazis are going to take over, and he's going to have to strap a machine gun to the back of his car and take them all out.
That's not how it's going to end. I don't think it's going to end that way. I can see
you never know.
I can see this upcoming season being the last. for the show. But it's very well
there's still
done.
time for machine guns.
Yeah.
When you run 22 episodes, there's time for a lot of things.
And you have a second show.
Arrested Development.
I've seen a lot of it.
A lot of people like this show. It's not one like you were talking about with Modern Family where you can jump. It kind of is where you can jump in and get some of the jokes, but it's so deep in the callbacks and call for. They'll set up something in episode 2, and then episode 13 is the next mention of it, and you're like, oh yeah, I remember that. And then you go, it's definitely a rewatch show, and the more you rewatch it, the more you catch that they had set up in the beginning that comes off. The little brother loses his hand in the middle of season 1. Spoiler alert if you're 15 years behind this show. But the whole first 11 episodes, there's all these little nods to he sits on a bench that says Army offices, but he's covering up the part so it only says arm off next to him. And there's all kinds of stuff like that hidden throughout the show that when you watch it 3 or 4 times, you pick up on all of it. And the season 4 they did on Netflix wasn't great, just because of the schedule that they had to keep up, because all the actors had so many different things going on.
Bateman's a huge star now, so it's very,
but I think he's taken to the Netflix model. He's done that.
Oh,
he's done Ozark.
yeah.
I think I think that's where he's going to live now. I think he likes that, doing his 12 episodes and getting in.
You can keep churning out Horrible Bosses with him and
Sudeikis
and
that's
Charlie
true.
Day, and I'll take my money now.
Yeah, I'll show up to
this.
But
yeah, I'm a big fan of his. How many of those episodes of Arrested Development were directed by the Russo brothers?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you, but I know some of them are. Yes,
you do know that that famous staircase truck.
Yes, it made its way at the airport. Yes.
In the airport scene of Captain America: Civil War.
Watch out for hop-ons. You're going to get some hop-ons.
Yeah. So.
What do you got next for me?
I love this show, and it's ending after a 8-season final year. It starts in April, so I can imagine they're probably just going to go all the way through to the end of May. But New Girl on Fox is one of the funniest shows I think I've ever seen outside of Seinfeld. 16
minutes
and
total.
Yeah, it's very difficult. People are a little whimsical and wacky, and
I'm not a big Zooey Deschanel fan.
And I'm not. You don't have to be though.
I do like Jake Johnson though. Is that his name?
Yeah,
he's the white guy.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan. Like Hannah Simone's growing on me. Max Greenfield, he's starting to really take off. LaBorne Morris, and I really started. This is where I really got introduced to Damon Wayans Jr. was in this show. He is hilarious in that.
He's very funny in that. But Let's Be Cops, not so good.
That was disappointing. I gotta admit, it wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. So, but I'm remiss to say that it's not going to be a fun finale for me, knowing that it's all over, because I'm actually rewatching it on Netflix as we.
I love rewatching shows. My wife hates it, and my whole life revolves around rewatching Seinfeld and The Office and Parks and Rec and Arrested Development, and she can't stand watching shows over and over again. I'm just like, why?
There's only a few that I'll
it's
tolerate
good.
It for. There's only a few that I'll tolerate it for, so that makes the very short list of mine. New Girl.
Jenny, can you go back and fix that for us? Thank you. One of my favorite shows another one that a lot of these got canceled too early. This one was Bored to Death on HBO.
I never saw it, no.
Jason Schwartzman, I think his name is.
Okay.
Zach Galifianakis.
Oh.
And Ted Danson. Ted Danson. You put Ted Danson anything in there.
Yeah.
Not on The Good Place yet, but it's on my list. I will catch up to that one.
To it. It's on Netflix now.
Oh, it is?
Maybe.
Probably Hulu, because Hulu has a deal with NBC.
Oh, yeah, you're probably right. So.
Whatever, I'm going to catch up on The Good Place. That's neither here nor there. Bored to Death. This guy, his girlfriend broke up with him. He's a huge pothead. And that's why she broke up with him, basically. All he does is drink wine and smoke pot. And Ted Danson, same thing. But Ted Danson is he's a writer, I think, for a magazine. He's like the head of a magazine type thing. And he does Jason Schwartzman does little odd jobs for Ted Danson, and but he decides in between jobs that he's going to become a private detective. And if you know Jason Schwartzman, he is a small, diminutive Jewish man, not very imposing, and has no idea how to be private detective. He's just read a couple, little detective novels on it, and he decides he's going to do it. He ropes in Zach Galifianakis, whose girlfriend is constantly mad at him, or it might be his wife. I think it's his wife in the show. Constantly mad at him for basically smoking pot and drinking too much, and drags Ted Danson into some of the adventures. And they just have all these, because each week it's basically a case of the week type thing. Half-hour show. It only ran 3 seasons. It criminally got canceled early, and it was great. They'd always go on some wacky adventure where, they'd get stuck and they'd get out of it by the end and they'd solve their mystery. And it was just great. It was funny. Yeah, it's a lot of dry humor, but it's, you get it, and it's good. It's good. Check it out.
I will. That is
check it out.
Another show that is probably, I just noticed this, but a lot of the shows that I have on my list here are probably within a season or 2 of coming to an end. So I'm not liking anything's wheelhouse. Maybe like not Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but the other 4 that I'm talking about.
There's not a lot of good new sitcoms either, though, that are 2 to 3 years old.
It's tough to draw my eye line and get me to really sit down and watch it. Especially if I don't know who any of the actors are. But one thing that seems to be looking like it's maybe on its way out is Silicon Valley. I haven't heard anything definitive, but I know
but that's more a T.J. Miller thing.
T.J. Miller carried that show in a lot of cases. Was Thomas Middleditch?
Yeah.
I think that's his name. It's hard not to like Martin Starr and, all those other guys that appear. Kumail Nanjiani?
Martin Starr is another one in Party Down.
Oh, okay.
On the catering team.
Yes, the few episodes that I've seen of Party Down. But the Silicon Valley, I just don't know how it's going to be without T.J. Miller. I will watch it this season.
It's going to be hard because he gave it an edge.
He did. He gave it an edge and unpredictability. That is he going to actually do the right thing? Yeah, is he going to do the right thing this time, or is he going to mess everything up?
Yeah, you don't have to sell me on that one because I'm already in there. But you can sell some other people. Jason Schwartzman, I was right.
So what's your last one?
Well, I've got 2 more. We're going to do 5 each.
That's right. Sorry.
My next one was Master of None with Aziz Ansari, Netflix show.
I've seen a few episodes of that as well. I think I just kind of...
That's one you can kind of jump in and out because each show is contained in its own... Each episode is self-contained.
Okay.
It's very funny, but it's very close to life too. He does a great job in season 2 of portraying like an unrequited love, and it like really makes you feel for him. And he wrote most of it on his own, and anything Aziz does, I'm in. Yeah. He's one of my favorite comedians, and he's great in it, and his big buddy that goes around with him is great, and I don't know his name off the top of my head, but they're both great, and it's just the adventures of this guy. He's trying to be an actor, but also trying to do some other things as he's trying to be an actor in New York, and it's just his life in New York, and he gets into shenanigans and just your basic 30-year-old in New York story of what can happen, and basically anything can. They did a episode in season 2. Aziz might have been in it, but he was only in it for like 5 minutes. It basically just followed all these different people around New York, basically showing you what different types of stuff you can get into there. You end up at a bar and you make these crazy friends that you never knew you'd be friends with because you wandered in the wrong place, and it just follows like 10 different stories in 20 minutes of all these crazy different things good things, not like nobody's getting murdered, which could probably also happen.
Yeah.
But they skip that part. And yeah, it's a good show. If you haven't watched both seasons of that, I highly suggest you do, because it gets you. It makes you want to live in New York, and then you kind of look around and go, no, I'm good.
No, I'm good. So, what
do you got next?
My final show on this list is also one that will be doing its last season, on HBO, is Veep.
I never got in on Veep. I don't know why.
I think it's
Tony Hale. He's also in Arrested Development. He loses his hand.
Yes, he did. Not in Veep though. He's got both hands.
He's got both hands.
But Julia Louis-Dreyfus, obviously very critically acclaimed.
Did you ever watch the Adventures of New Christine?
I did not.
Old Christine. I caught a couple like on reruns on TBS, and it was like funny if you're not paying attention to it.
It's been syndicated. I mean, they're making money off of it, so it's just. So yes, Veep, very good supporting cast as well, very funny. some real good laugh out loud moments and just some sarcasm and banter. And,
she's good.
The political. And then there's a political comedy to it as well.
I'm sure with this last season they'll take it.
I could imagine. So that will be my list, and I will say one thing. And you told me you haven't seen is one of the Marvel Netflix shows, The Punisher. And I invite you to watch that because it's
on my list, but it's low on my list. I got to catch up on season 3 of Mr. Robot.
But this is more
got season 2 of Stranger Things. There's a lot on my list.
I think we're going to leave some of that conversation for the Marvel centric podcast. I don't want to, because as more and more information starts coming out and all that kind of stuff, and especially like a new season.
I did see this thing of
stuff, even though that's not technically
John Bernthal basically shutting down these alt-right people who are using him as a symbol of what they believe in. And he shot them down, which he's like, that is not the point of the show. The show is to show how bad this actually is.
Yeah, I don't condone that either.
He should not be. The Punisher is not. I know the story of the Punisher. I get him.
Yeah.
Not a great hero.
Yes, and I don't know.
You sympathize with him, kind of like you do with Walter White, but
but he's a bad dude.
Not a great dude.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I really kind of scratch my head at people who use the Punisher logo for military purposes or things of that nature.
Well, that came from
to it, but
the American Sniper.
Yes, I don't. Like I saw a sticker
they're
on
proud
the car.
of their kills, right?
I saw a sticker on someone's car with the Punisher logo, and I know what it is. I get that the guy was in the military, but around it said something to the effect of, it's up to us to arrange the meeting. We don't judge the people we hunt or something like that, but it's up to us to arrange the meeting with God or something like. I can't remember the exact words, and I'm sorry I'm stumbling all over myself trying to figure it out, but.
I used to have a Punisher t-shirt. I like wearing my comic books t-shirt because I like the character of the Punisher.
But you're not making a political
statement.
But
I'm not trying to
or a war statement.
I had to throw it away because people started using that as a symbol of exactly what you're describing, and I didn't want to be.
And I don't want to.
I didn't want to be somebody passing me by thinking that I'm that type of person because I'm not. I don't have a kill count. Yeah. Except in Call of Duty, used to have a pretty good kill death ratio there. But
I think with that, I just wanted to get that off my chest. It's like I think that there is a level of seriousness to people who either have been off to war, been in the real time battles, that aren't well. And I think to make light of it or to think that having to do something like having to take other lives I'm not a snowflake, I promise. But having to do that, it shouldn't
be taken lightly.
It shouldn't be taken lightly. Yeah. And I think to use a comic book character as a symbol for your political statement or things of that nature, I mean. I don't think that's the right
Speaking
thing.
of using comic book characters as symbols, I'm going to tell you about this last show that I had on my list. And this is not a good show.
Okay.
By any measurable measurement.
Measurable measurement.
Yeah. This is not a good show.
And what show are you talking about?
Gotham on Fox with the guy from the OC.
Mm-hmm.
And some other people you've never seen in anything before. The Penguin is played by a kid from Accepted. Did you ever see that movie?
Yes, Long. I saw it.
Remember the kid with the ADD?
No, I don't.
He's the Penguin. Anyway, this show is it just grabs itself by the balls and says, we're going to be crazy. And it lives up to that. Good. It is outlandish. It is campy. It is everything you would want in a comic book show that is not taking itself too seriously. It's almost like it's trying to take itself too seriously, but it can't. The first season is hard to get through because it's very obligatory winks at. It's like, hi, my name's Edward Nygma, and I love riddles.
Oh, God.
Do you like riddles? And it's just like, they're like, hi, I'm Selena Kyle, and there's a cat over there. Some people call me the cat. So it's just like, they really shove you into, this is who this person is in case you can't figure it out in the first season. But as the first season progresses and it goes in the second and third, they don't shove it in your face as much, and the introduction of characters flows a little more smoothly. But it's just so gunfights every other episode, and the guy that plays the Penguin is just constantly screaming at everyone because they're not doing what he says, and it's just amazing. It's just amazing.
I like it when
it's
DC doesn't have
awfulness.
to take themselves too serious.
It's like watching Fast and the Furious after number 2.
Good. All right, I'm gonna have to. My mom actually, weirdly enough, asked me if I watched Gotham. She told me she caught a few episodes.
It is outstanding in its outlandishness. But again, not a good show. If you want a really good show, don't watch Gotham. If you want to be entertained, watch Gotham.
Okay. Sounds great.
All right, for our final segment, Eric, let's talk about some shows that it feels like the world is watching them, but, for one reason or another, they're not really on our radar. You got any shows like that?
I do. A lot of shows like on HBO, or I'm always... like I said,
it seems like there's always a great show on HBO that you just can't catch up with.
A lot of stuff. I was late to Veep. I was late to Game of Thrones. I was late to Breaking Bad. I was late to The Walking Dead.
I was late to Breaking Bad, too. I came in like season 3,
but
I think.
You know what? If you get me in, I don't care if you... Okay, so I wasn't there from the start. I'm sorry.
But that's the great thing about TV now is you can jump in at any time. 1992, you wanted to watch,
oh gosh.
All of Seinfeld, there's no way.
Yeah, there's no way you could do that. So,
you just pick it up at season 4 and you're off.
If I had to pick 3 shows that the world seems like I see it everywhere on social media. I see them on previews from other TV shows while I'm watching television. But the 3 I would say, one was on your list, and that's Mr. Robot.
It's a great show. You should pick up on it.
Hey, anytime Robert Downey Jr. is tweeting about how pumped he is for the next episode, you might pique my interest.
It's good. It's smart. So, it's a smart show.
And then I'd say the second one would be Westworld, which I'm curious about. I've heard that it's very, very good, and obviously it's getting a lot of popularity.
I heard good and bad. Yeah, I heard good and bad on it, and it was like I never jumped on. I couldn't. I think that might be robots and fake worlds. It sounds cool, but
I think that might be one of the things I check out as if it's got some staying power.
Once Game of Thrones is done, there might be a lot more room in my brain to pick up on.
And the third one,
I felt like you had to think a lot about it too, and I don't know if I was down for that. I already think a lot about Mr. Robot.
And the third one I would say, and this surprises the heck that I haven't even gotten up the gumption to turn it on yet, is Stranger Things.
You need to turn that one on.
Yeah, I know.
I have yet to see season 2, so don't at me any spoilers here. That's on my list of things, but season 1 was fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
Great 80s nostalgia. I wasn't really alive in the 80s, but I get it. I've seen E.T., I've seen Goonies. Like, I get what they're referencing. I get why it's cool.
Yeah.
And they get why it's cool, and they just did a great job, and I'm excited to watch season 2. Just haven't gotten there yet.
Right. Okay, yeah, so those are my 3. What about you, bud?
I got a couple on these. My first one is Walking Dead. I mean, you say zombies, I'm out. No interest in zombies whatsoever. If a real zombie outbreak happened, that'd be squashed real quick.
Yeah, how did they take over?
They've just been walking around for 7 years? Like, come on. Lock the doors, let's go. Get out of there.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way.
Set a ring of fire around you, the zombies can't get through it.
I have watched that show. I got about 4 episodes into season 7, and some of it just got a little too over the top for me, so I'm taking a little break. I was late to the show, and I kind of made a critical mistake. Yeah, I know. So you might as well call it late to my podcast about television. So, yeah. But, so I was
Jenny, you might want to take that joke out. That wasn't very good.
Yeah, it wasn't a very good joke. But yeah, The Walking Dead, I think I needed to put it on the shelf for a little while. I'll finish it, I think, once the story's been told.
What I read on Facebook and Twitter, it just, somebody's dying every week. I mean, I guess Game of Thrones is kind of like that, but Game of Thrones, it felt like there was one big death every season.
The Walking Dead got shoved out by everything else that I watched, so I'll come back to it.
We'll talk. I think that's a good place to go in a little bit. Is shows that we came in on but couldn't make it through. We'll go into that a little bit more after this part. Another one I never got into, and you guys are going to be mad at me here, is The Wire.
I didn't either.
I have heard that this is the best show ever, and Breaking Bad is a close second to it. So it's on my list of eventually I'll watch it. But when it came out, I was still in high school, didn't have HBO.
And I didn't have like a real
and so I just never had, right.
I didn't have a
When
TV
you're in high school and college, there's so many things going
Yeah.
on. Like, you don't sit, all right, it's 8 o'clock, my show's on. It's 10 o'clock, my show's on. That's why, like The Office, I came too late. Arrested Development, I came too late. Just because those things, like, between 2003 and 2009, like, you got so much going on during high school and college. There's no, you just don't go, oh, my show's on at 8. Not going to the bar with you.
I picked I think I started watching TV as a viewer of a show that would follow shows, when TiVo came out. When I knew that I could watch things on my own time.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm not, when I'm in college, I'm not going to go miss out going out with friends or going to a game or something like that when, oh, God, it's 8:30 on Monday night,
When Seinfeld being my best show, or my favorite show, it was always on TBS.
I mean, when we were, in college, it's always on anyway. So, but when TiVo started,
my first one was The Office. I saw the basketball episode, and then they had like a marathon on TBS that night because they were in the middle of season 5, so they were doing like season 1 and 2 on TBS at the time. And so I caught the basketball episode while I was at my friend's house. I went home, I turned it on, and just kind of watched 3 or 4, and then all of a sudden I downloaded seasons 1 through 5 on iTunes and just blew right through them, and I was mad at myself that I missed it for 5. Yeah. It was college. I had a job.
Yeah.
There's nothing else to pay for at that point.
So what was your third?
I had one more, that I feel like everyone's talking about, at least in my Twitter circles, and that's Black Mirror. And this show, I guess,
I've never heard of it.
It's a Netflix show. It's, I guess, like the new Twilight Zone, basically. It's season 4 just released. Each episode stands on its own. So you don't have to watch all of them. You can jump in and out as wanted. And, it's just, each episode is set up in some alternate reality where something weird is happening, basically, like the Twilight Zone. And I hear good things. I want to watch it. It's just on my radar. There's no time for it. There's a lot going on. Casa del Haupt. Let's talk about Orange is the New Black.
This is a good way to segue into a point about, shows that we got tired of, or we just didn't finish for whatever reason.
Yeah, you hung on to this one longer than I did. I was out after season 2. My wife and I think we watched the first episode of season 3 and just decided we didn't care anymore. How long, you said you made it?
I made it a couple episodes into season 4.
Yeah.
And the only reason I put up with it, because season 3 to me was at least a little disappointing, because I loved the way season 2 ended, that I thought you were going to maybe be getting more of that hard-hitting stuff.
Season 2 ended good, yeah.
But it felt like they just kept going back to the same kind of weird storylines, and, friendships that were made were now rivalries. Like, it's just a lot to keep up with for a show that's like, all right, I'm having a really hard time keep caring about these characters,
and they're in prison, but they all have these short sentences that they all say, oh, I'm getting out, and then they have these weird contrived ways of keeping them in prison. Like, at some point, your suspension of disbelief goes away, and it's just like, all right, this isn't fun or enjoyable anymore. It's just the same thing happening over and over again. Another one that I didn't make it through was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you were going to try and sell me on this of something I should be watching, and I'm going to tell you, it just... I got through the season where they became Inhumans, and that they've tried to get the Inhumans to happen 3 different times, and they've never happened. It's like Fetch. It's just not going to happen.
It's not going to happen. Stop trying to make it happen.
Stop trying to make it happen, Gretchen. It had my interest for a while, and it just was not interesting. One of my problems with a lot of these shows on network TV, they got 22 episode seasons. It is such a slog. You get 10 to 12 episodes in the middle where it's just like nothing is happening to advance the plot. It's just like, let's do this random thing and do this, and here's this guy that we can throw in here, and this lady came down from Asgard. Let's play around with her for a day. And I watched Arrow and The Flash on CW, and it gets a lot like that too. And like in the middle of the seasons, I'm always like, oh, why do I watch this show? And then there's the first 5 episodes and the last 5 episodes, and maybe 2 in the middle are fantastic. And it's like, all right, this is why I watch it. And S.H.I.E.L.D. never grabbed me with those first 5 and last 5 like the other shows.
And you know what? Your opinion is probably largely a consensus, I would say.
I think so too. I think it's dying fast.
No, it is. And this I think it's going to be the last season, but I will say one thing about the show.
I heard they did good with Ghost Rider.
Oh, it was great. I love that. I love that character arc.
I like Ghost Rider as a character, and I'm sad that I checked out before it, but
if you've seen the show, you know that like that arc was running, the first half of the season. They went with another one and kind of brought him back later to help tie up the fourth season and stuff. And they actually somehow ended up in space now for the final season 5. And
so did Steve Urkel one time.
Yes.
Come on.
So actually, you know what? I'm not hating the new storyline, to be honest with you. They've had to shift some things up. They have been unafraid to change.
It's just so
I felt a little sorry.
episodes.
I felt a little sorry for some of the actors in the show because they were trying to convince everybody that it was all connected.
Right.
That they were going to be one of these days they were going to be in the big movies, like one of these.
The first 2 seasons, it was like every time a Marvel movie was coming out, the episode right before and right after it loosely tied, and then it was like season 3, they just completely gave up on that, and that's when I was like. Because towards the end of season 2, I was like, all right, I'm not that interested in this anymore, but I was still watching it in case it came up.
And you always love MCU canon. I mean, it's just...
Right. And then I noticed when Civil War came out, that was when I was out, because I was like, they didn't even reference Civil War at all. In any episodes around it. So I'm like, all right, this has nothing to do with the movies anymore. I'm just out.
Yeah.
I can keep up with the movies without keeping up with the show. I'm good now.
I've definitely leaned over on my couch and just like, all right, we're slogging through this episode. Yeah. I get where you're coming from. Some of it gets I honestly wish they'd gone to Netflix. The cable and Netflix
shows that do 10 to 13 episodes, and it's like, all right, everyone moves the plot along. Something's happening. You can't beat the Luke Cage episodes. Like that was probably my favorite Netflix Marvel.
If you're
shows
super nerdy, you'll like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I don't think I can sell it to a casual.
I'm pretty nerdy.
I know, but even you gave up on it. But it doesn't get great ratings. There's a reason why it's been on the chopping block for a little while now. I think just kind of a cult following kind of saves it. And I think I think a lot of that credit should be given to like Clark Gregg, who played Phil Coulson. They brought him back.
And everybody's waiting for him to come back, and I think he's going to show up in Infinity War.
I hope you're right.
Why keep him around if
I hope you're right. I just I felt bad for him.
I like Agent May in there too. She's pretty
amazing
good.
In the Avengers movie, and I just love his character.
He was good in small doses. I don't know that you can build 100 episodes around him like they've tried, but another one talking about getting a cult following is Community. I got in and out on that 2 different times. I watched the first 3 seasons. I was in. I liked it. Got all the little funny jokes. It's kind of like Arrested Development where they're referencing themselves all the time. Got out for a while. Season 4, the Lost Years, they call it, with Dan Harmon gone. That really turned me off, so I stopped watching. And then I came back to it, caught up on 4, watched 5, and then they moved. Donald Glover left. The other guy, Clark Griswold, Chevy Chase.
Yeah.
He left, so it was...
I didn't understand his character in that show. I had caught a few episodes, but I don't know, maybe it was just a little over the top for me sometimes.
It was, and it was hard. They do these weird paintball episodes where the whole school is playing paintball, and it got outlandish. And, once it moved to Yahoo, I was just like, I watched the first episode on there, and I was just like, that wasn't funny, and moved on. And
right.
And I think Yahoo did as well.
Yeah.
And
rightfully so.
The small audience they still had.
I like Joel McHale.
He's good.
I like Joel McHale. I love The Soup.
The Soup.
That's one of my favorite shows.
That was a good one.
So we're gonna get into our little final, our final segment.
2-minute ISO.
2-minute ISO. We're gonna wrap this up. I think
Eric,
for mine,
you get the ball. Hurry it up.
I'm gonna take the shot here for a second. Cord cutting. I'm gonna ask our listeners a little bit for a little bit of an opinion and interaction.
Add us.
Add us there, because I am very close to cutting the cord. I've been saying this for a long time. I'm a cable subscriber. I don't mind it. It's just that it's getting to be very pricey, and I'm looking to cut some costs. And so I want to know, should I get, what kind of streaming service should I get? I think,
definitely YouTube? Netflix.
Well, yes, I already have Netflix. I'm talking about, Sling TV.
And you're aware of the Cody box, right? Before everybody tells you that's what you should do, because it's the easiest way.
I don't know anything about that.
The Cody boxes, be careful. They're coming for you.
Yeah, they don't.
It's dying fast.
Yeah, they do not want to. they do not want to be giving this stuff up for much longer because a lot of networks, are suffering a lot, and cord cutting has been, been getting part of the blame for that. But, I think there needs to be a time, and this is another thing that kind of freaks me out about net neutrality being repealed is that, now my cable,
charge more, right?
I'm going to get charged just to use Facebook in my own home. And, that's just, yeah. And so it's just, I don't know, potentially. I'm not meaning to freak everybody out, but.
I'll give you my opinion on the cord cutting. Cause my wife and I looked into it a little bit. The service I was going to go with was Sling. Cause it seems that you can get your sports there.
Right.
It's great for March Madness, because that's when I was going to do it. You get the 3-month trial, so I was going to turn it on March Madness and go wild with it, basically. Wow. If you do go somewhere, get a Roku. I have 3 Rokus in my house. They are fantastic.
My parents have it.
You can get all the different
very easy
channels. It's super easy. My wife can figure it out, which you
can download things to it, which is something Apple TV didn't have on it as a feature for the longest time.
I didn't know that.
Well, when it first came out, you couldn't add your own apps to Apple TV.
Oh, right.
That with Roku, you
can add
always could.
Yeah. But that's what I was. If it were me, I would do Sling TV. I haven't looked into YouTube TV because we're pretty comfortable with having cable as much as they're raking us over the coals with it. We're just in this comfort zone of it works, so stick with it. A lot of things out there for cord cutters.
So what's your finale? What's your subject? Passing the rock.
Go mellow here. YouTube for kids. Super weird place. So weird. Have you ever witnessed it? You don't have kids.
I don't have kids.
You've been around. You've been among a kid.
I've been among kids that are very addicted to the YouTube.
So I wanted to bring it up this week because I'll go into that. But this Logan Paul thing happened, and if you don't know what happened, just Google it. So it was kind of on my mind, and there's his whole controversy that happened. Just Google Logan Paul in Japan, you'll figure it out. There was this thing that they call ElsaGate. Basically, my daughter watches not the ElsaGate videos, but the videos of kids playing with other toys. And they're the most annoying people, by the way, with the most annoying voices. I'm sorry if one of our listeners is one of these people, but get a different voice. Come on. You could probably tell me the same thing, but it's just super weird. It's these people playing with toys, grown adults playing with toys.
That weirds me out the most.
Yeah. No, the kids doing it are worse because the kid, there's one that she watches that, the kid basically has a mommy and the 2 little girls, and the 2 little girls are constantly whining, and it's turned my daughter into a whiner, and it's she's taken a lot from that, so we're trying to wean her off of that set of videos because it's really bad, and I just don't know what would possess a 30-year-old woman to just start playing with toys on YouTube and film it.
Market it to children.
And why are these children watching it? Play with toys.
Maybe that's like the old person and
maybe
that doesn't
get
quite
off my
understand.
lawn, kids watching YouTube videos instead of playing with the toys.
I don't know. Maybe that's just a part of me that I never quite understood about the changing of the times. Everything's very digital now, and you and I are kind of that last class of people that actually did play outside.
I just know if I was at a friend's house and he was playing with a toy, I also wanted to play with that toy. I didn't just want to sit there and watch him do it.
Yeah, doesn't that make you really jealous?
Yeah, well, and it turns into my daughter asking for all these toys too. Oh, right. That's in my videos. Of course it is.
I guess that's kind of
every toy in the world is there.
I guess that's kind of replaced. The commercial, not that they don't run these anymore, but the commercials on, Nickelodeon or Disney these
the toys.
I remember my sister every Saturday morning we'd be watching Saturday morning cartoon. I want that. Next commercial, come on. I want that.
You'd get the Toys R Us catalog. You'd go through and circle everything. Oh yeah. So. But this ElsaGate, it was these people running basically copycat channels that do the same sort of thing. There's ones out there where they have the characters singing and little animations of them singing little, kid songs and whatnot. But basically they would take these characters that kids love and are searching for on YouTube or are recommended. If you watch this video, the next one's recommended. They would take these characters and put them in sexual or criminal scenarios.
So searching for these characters or videos about these characters. You'd be watching
one where it's just a normal, weird 30-year-old lady playing with toys and showing your kids how to play with the toys in different ways. And it would, all of a sudden, the next recommended one would be one of these where they're all of a sudden in these positions that you don't want your 3-year-old to see, right? So Netflix, I know, has done a lot to crack down, or not Netflix, YouTube has done a lot to crack down on that, but it's just super weird. And
Yeah, I agree with you. But you know what? I guess that's just kids these days. And
I don't care that they watch. Like, I don't get what possesses an adult. They're like, oh, this will be a funny prank on a 5-year-old that stumbles upon this video. Like,
yeah, I don't.
Who are you playing in that
Tells
situation?
you that there's some weird people out there.
There are some weird people. Be careful out there.
Anyway, buddy, it's been a pleasure talking a little TV about you. As we start getting, some more content down the road, and we'll probably do the TV one, once in a blue moon.
We'll circle back. Yeah, we'll get a Game of Thrones deep dive.
Much further down the road.
Maybe once I watch Punisher, we'll do a little bit on that, something like that.
Yeah, we can kind of,
do a whole Marvel Netflix one.
Well, we might do one for the May sweeps. How about that? What finales, and everything kind of finalizes, and then we start getting reruns, and that's a bummer. So
I like reruns. That's when I can catch up on all the stuff.
Yeah, and then we can give a little summer TV preview. How about that?
Oh, yeah. All right. That's
Thanks
it
again
for today. Be sure to catch us on SoundCloud, a podcast about something, Stitcher, a podcast about something, iTunes, a podcast about something.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's great that we're listed in those directories because those are the biggest ones. So it's great. You can find us there. Twitter @APA something. Hit us on our email. Tell Eric why he should or shouldn't cut the cord or what he should do to cut the cord. It's a podcast about something @gmail.com. That's really all we've got for the day. See you next time.
Thanks again.
Stay classy.